Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. So today's video is going to be a lesson from my new long-awaited violin book 3, which takes us from lessons 21 to 30. Now I have to say that this is a true masterpiece. These are probably the best books I have written to date, even if I do say so myself. Comparing them to everything else that I have written, these are very, very comprehensive books. However, they have still been written for the self-learner in mind. And I can tell you guys right now that nothing online in the world exists like this. So these books come in 2 parts. So these are lessons 21 to 30, but I have split them into 2 parts. And the reason being is that this part 1 talks about third position. So this is lessons 21 to 25. And the second part talks about bowing techniques. You cannot buy these books separately. Once you buy the book, you get both of these. They don't really have anything to do with each other, so I have just simply separated them out into 2 books just for the purpose of clarifying that. In addition to these 2 books, as per usual, they will come with a Songbook 3, and it is very, very advisable that you buy Songbook 3. So on my shop, you will be able to buy these books, which are lessons 21 to 30, and you will be able to buy book 3 separately for $9.99. That's US dollars as well. However, you'll be able to buy them in a combo deal, all 3 books together, to save yourself a little bit of money. So everything you see here is going to be linked in the description bar underneath this video to purchase, and these are downloadable books only. I want to make that very, very clear. There is nothing physical to ship out, as with any of the books on my shop. They are 100% downloadable, so as soon as you've purchased, you just get straight on downloading and off you go. So I really hope you enjoy these next set of 10 lessons, and let's get into the lesson. So for lesson 26, we're now in part 2 of our book, and we're talking about spiccato bowing. Now, spiccato bowing is a technique in which the bow bounces lightly on the string. It should not be confused with staccato, which it often does, and it is a completely different bowing technique physically and audibly. I think a lot of people that play the piano get confused between staccato and spiccato, because the way that staccato is played on the piano is probably more similar to how it is played on the violin. Staccato on the violin isn't played really the same way as how you would think about playing it with the piano or actually physically play it on the piano. Spiccato is a détaché stroke. A détaché stroke is just literally a detached bow stroke. That means each of the notes are played in a separate bow, so that means that will be how you've been bowing so far. 1 to 2 inches above the string. You must relax your bow grip, especially the right thumb. It's not going to work otherwise, as this is going to allow the bow to fall and bounce on the strings and allow it to jump back up due to the elasticity of the bow. If you have too much pressure with the thumb here, the bow isn't going to be able to bounce because you're going to be restricting it by doing so. It is important that you don't squeeze the bow with the right thumb, because you want to let the bow do the work itself. You can change the spiccato speed based on bow placement. For example, you can try it near the heel of the bow for a slower spiccato. This is because you've got most control near the hand. Or you can try it in the middle for a faster. You can also change the speed by varying the height of the bounce off the strings. The higher the bow goes, the more time it needs, and therefore the slower it's going to bounce. The character of the spiccato can be influenced by the tilting of the bow. If you play with a flat hair, the strokes are going to be very bouncy. And if you play with tilting the bow away from you, it's going to be a little bit more mellow. The strokes are longer, and therefore the bow doesn't bounce as high. So it's a lot more crunchy and a lot more bouncy with a flatter hair stroke. So in summary, you need to relax your right hand thumb, perform a détaché stroke above the string, letting it fall onto the string, letting the bow do all the work. You can change the spiccato speed with the bow placement or the height of the bounce, so either being near the heel or being near the middle of the bow. And you can also change the character by playing with a flat bow or tilting it for a little bit more of a mellow kind of sound. So for the next part of this video, which is going to include demonstrations, tips, exercises, pieces to play, and all of that good stuff, where I'm really getting in there and really breaking down how to properly play, then you'll need to follow the link that you'll see in the book at the bottom of this page here, as this link is only available to people who have purchased this book. But if you don't have the book quite just yet and you want to know a little bit more before you purchase, then here are a few clips of what I will be talking about in this lesson. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to make sure that the right hand thumb is relaxed. So carrying on, we're going to do the same thing again, but we're going to lift up the bow at the end of these strokes. Remember all the time keeping that thumb relaxed. Finally, we're going to do the same thing that we've just done for step 5, but flatten the bow for a true staccato. The next thing we're going to do is move on from that and do 3 bows to a note, and then the same with 2 bows to a note, and then would be as written. And then as written. Try and do as much of that exercise as you possibly can, but that kreutzer etude is perfect to practice spiccato bowing on.